Board of County Deputy back in session with Mr. Marsha Johnson, Clerk of Court.
Got so much business today, I'm gonna try to make this quicker. I have 6 resolutions for adoption on unanticipated revenue as part of the end of the year bookkeeping that involve funds that weren't included in the initial budget last year. Because when the budget was approved, we didn't know those monies would be received. We have to have approval to comply with the Florida statutes governing the budget. All 6 of these resolutions pertain to grant funds that were received after your budget was approved for 2014-2015 fiscal year. And we just have to incorporate those funds into that budget now for auditing purposes.
So money's been received and spent.
Yeah, it has been spent, and I'll just go over the 6 amounts without reading all the resolutions. We had $116,345 received from the Florida Department of State, Division of Historic Resources for payment of expenses incurred in the renovation of the Fort Coombs Armory. We had $51,524 we received from the State of Florida Department of Transportation for payment of expenses incurred for the Bayshore Drive sidewalk project. We had $600,000 received from the Department of Environmental Protection for the acquisition of the Island View Ells Court property in Carabel. We had $16,373 received from the Florida Panhandle Library Access Network, Eli Lilly and Company, Friends of the Library, Charles Pageant, and Rock by the Sea for payment of operational expenses on the summer reading program and iPad program at the public library. We had $34,340 from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for payment of expenses incurred in the Sea Turtle Lighting Grant. And then we had $23,197 received from the Florida Department of State for operational expenses of the library. And just like this morning when the library gave their report, they're applying for 2 more grants. It's kind of like that. Those grants, if she receives them, are not in the current budget now. We'll have to do resolutions on those later.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I have, and the Finance Department says we may have a few more at the next meeting, and that should take care of it all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Alan Pierce.
We're done.
You done?
We're done.
Mr. Michael Morone.
Yes, sir. All right, let's
Mr. Chairman, while we're waiting on Michael to give his report, I just want to say I extend a warm thank you to him and to Fonda Davis for going out to Lanark Village Association last night to their meeting. We had a power outage, so we got out of there about 8:15, I think, 8:30. But we had some issues that we're going to bring before the board, and we're going to ask for Mr. Schuler to help us with it, but we're going to do that at a later date when we can get together and talk about that. But I just wanted to thank them for coming out and bringing the government close to the people.
It was exciting. Okay, item number 1, inform the board that AFCON has contacted Allen to tell him that Mr. Philip Deal of FDOT has identified $100,000 for economic development study for the airport. Mr. Deal and FDOT recognizes the possibilities of the airport, and considering that more money might be available through the Triumph Fund, FDOT is willing to invest in the airport. Allen believes part of the responsiveness from FDOT is because of the high level of confidence FDOT has in AFCON and the management of the airport by this board.
So at the next meeting or so, when I should get the JPAs, we'll have to take an action there. So we should be good.
At the October 20th meeting, Mark asked the board to consider updating the capital improvement schedule as it would get us points when we apply for grants later on. I need board action to go ahead and schedule the public hearing as the update to the CIS is done by ordinance. I have a question for Attorney Schuler. Can we go ahead and do the public hearing even though we don't have the complete list together? I just thought about that.
No, and the board already authorized the public hearing. In fact, I talked with Mr. Currington about that yesterday.
Okay.
That, because for some reason, the board had directed me to prepare the ordinance, and I can and I would, but typically, Mr. Currington in the planning department prepares those capital improvement ordinances. So he'll put together the schedule, he will schedule the public hearing whenever he feels the time is appropriate to make that update.
Okay, so no additional,
No additional
motion was
action
needed.
is required on that. They've already authorized the public hearing.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Item 5, remind the board that the November 17th meeting has been rescheduled to November 16th at 5 p.m. I'm trying to keep that agenda as light as possible, mostly for action items from your directors. Anything else that might come up between now and then. I think Pam's-
Michael, real quick on item number 5, could you be sure and send us out an email
Oh, I will.
reminding us about
Most
that?
definitely, yes, I
about
will.
that meeting?
For sure. And item 6, I'll remind the board also that the December 15th regular meeting will be held in Carabel at their commission, the city commission meeting room, and that'll start at 10 a.m., which gives us time to set up for the audio recording for those meetings. Item 7, I need board action to authorize the chairman's signature on the memorandum of agreement between Franklin County and the Department of Economic Opportunity for the implementation of the Rural Area of Opportunity, which was formerly known as Rural Area of Critical Concern. I attached both copies of the MOA and the governor's executive order, which was number 15-133.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I inform the board that the National Register Review Board has recommended Marshall Field Station on Little St. George Island to be formally nominated for listing in the Nation Register of Historic Places. A copy of that letter was attached to your agenda packet. Next item, inform the board that I have received the Northwest Florida Management District 5-year Water Resource Development Work Program. I attached a copy to your agenda packet in case there were any discussions or comments on that. There being none right now, we'll move right along. Item 10, inform the board that the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission has scheduled a public hearing on Thursday, November 5th at 7 p.m. in the 3rd floor courtroom in the Franklin County Courthouse, upstairs across the street. This public hearing is being held exclusively for a discussion of the draft management plan to receive public comment regarding considerations for the FWC 10-year land management plan for the FWC managed Box R Wildlife Management Area. I've attached some information regarding this meeting. Actually, it's a lot of information that they sent us, and I want to make sure you guys had it before that meeting.
And Mr. Chairman, I would like to designate Commissioner Parrish to make sure that he goes there, and if they do offer a lot of times they don't, but if they do offer a time to speak publicly, please represent this board on it, and all those things with concerning Box R.
Can you move that by motion?
I'll make a motion to that.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner Parrish, if you need that in writing in a little handheld, readout, so you can take it with your folder binder, I'll get that done for you. Just
Well, you
let me
can go
know.
with them too, Mike.
Yes, sir. No problem at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all right.
Getting long, it's getting long. Item 12, Mr. Pierce was recently contacted by the U.S. Forest Service about having a county representative on their Recreation Resource Advisory Committee. They call it RAC. There are 2 meetings annually, and travel costs are reimbursable. I've attached copies of the frequently asked questions and roles and duties for this committee. Board action to nominate a commissioner to this committee. Commissioner Sanders, is really, since you're involved in Tate's Health, do you think that's something you'd be interested in?
I would be very interested.
I'll make a motion to appoint Commissioner Sanders
That didn't take long.
to the Recreation Resource Advisory Committee.
Okay.
I would be very interested.
Do I have a
in that.
second? Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Motion carries.
I won't make
Well,
comments
because
like
we
that.
have a lot of people that uses our, the forest up there, the national forest that borders Tate's Hill, and I would really like to see that because it's recreational uses that they use it for.
Make any
and-
more suggestions, get me in
That's the
trouble.
camp, is that pertains to the campgrounds and
Yeah,
boat landing stuff, recreational?
Yes. This is a nomination that she would then give advice for 7 states in the south of the United States. This is not the Franklin County, this is.
Southeast.
She appointed to a committee representing 7 states.
Yeah,
you
the
think
Southeast.
you think they'll put me on it?
Well, we're gonna juice it up here, yeah.
Okay, we'll do it.
We're gonna try.
I like that term, juice it
It's a
up.
2-year appointment.
Okay.
Mr. Bruce Ballister of Appalachia Regional Planning Council has contacted Mark and asked if the board is interested in supporting another cycle for a regional Brownsfield grant application. Mr. Ballister's email explains that even though ARPC wasn't successful in last year's cycle, they've received some response and advice on how to improve this year's application. If successful, ARPC would receive up to $400,000 for assessments and of suspected contaminants. I've attached the email which includes a web link to additional information and a sample letter of support. I talked to Alan about this. We really don't have any Brownsfield areas, but this is like supporting ARPC on this deal.
Well, that, and if they're north of us and going into our floodplain and our watershed.
It affects us coming down.
It could affect us. So I'll make a motion that we move forward with that.
Second.
I have a motion second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, next item, board action is needed to authorize spending of $2,886.16 of the Armory Project's contingency fund, which will leave a balance of $2,113.84 in that fund. Attached is a construction contingency modification form that details the item and the cost of each item.
Do you have a quick summary of what those, I didn't see that in the board packet, but it may be in there, but I didn't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Exactly what does that pertain to? Where they need an extra $2,800
I'll
for?
tell you right now, Commissioner. There was repair to termite damage in the floor joints in the toilet area. And most of this stuff is stuff that was unforeseen in the
Unforeseen.
beginning, yes, sir.
Like the termite damage and stuff.
Yes, but there are actually two items that are in there that actually they did not approve because they said they should have known about those. Splicers of existing ceiling joists in room 204. Relocate steel column due to unforeseen obstruction. Install a 2x12 support joist under the wall in room 106. And replace termite damage to the subfloor.
So we're basically making structural improvement.
Yeah, it looks that way, sir.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Can I ask Michael a question
ma'am.
on that, Mr. Chairman? Now, or Alan too, is deadline for renovations is supposed to be completed in January, right?
Yes.
Are they gonna have us do a review and a tour of the armory when they get everything done?
Yeah, most definitely, because they're
Because I
gonna,
wanna see, everybody's excited about the air
Yeah.
conditioning in there.
they're gonna want to show it off, so, yeah.
And we know we're gonna do the full load like Smokey or Commissioner Parrish asked for, to see how much the electricity is gonna be and all that.
Yes, Mr. Emo is working
Yeah.
on that right now
Okay.
for us. so
Because
we'll
I think
figure
that's
that
an
out.
important thing.
Yes.
On what to charge for the rent. Okay, I just wanted to know. Thank you so much, because at the TDC meetings, they like to have updates on the armory.
Okay.
So I wanna make sure that everything we have is up to date.
Yes, ma'am. Item 15, inform the board that after discussion with Ms. Jackal, the supervisor of elections, and Mr. Pierce, Mr. Harry Arnold, who's the landlord, has agreed to a list of improvements at the supervisor of elections office, providing that the board agrees to a 5-year lease using the current terms. I need board action to approve the 5-year lease and based on a list, and a copy of the list of improvements are attached.
Same price, right?
Yeah, but you know, we've been leasing this for how long?
10 years. Well,
And he's never sunk a dime in it after 10 years?
Well, he put a new roof on it, but then it doesn't leak.
Yeah, but 10 years of the $2,000.
So
This
moved.
world's very conservative with his money.
So
I
moved.
see that.
I'll second.
I have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
And item 16, this is just more to cover my bases. I'm not sure if you guys got this email a while back. Inform the board that we have received notification from Carson and Atkins that Attorney John Sawicki is no longer with the firm. Attorney Stephen Meck, who recently joined the firm, will now represent the county in labor matters. A copy of that memo from Carson and Atkins is attached. I look at Attorney Schuler because they never got a chance to meet Mr. Attorney Sawicki.
And we didn't, because that was when Lucy Turner left, retired.
But it looked like the attorney Stephen Meck has over 30 years of
I said
experience.
Meck.
So it
Yes,
looks
sir.
like he has a lot of experience in that
MECK.
field.
I'll send you a copy of the item 17, inform the board that Attorney Schuler and I met with Ms. Shanina Forms of USDA on Thursday, October 28th. The main topic of our discussion was funding for the repair and enhancement of the lift station that services the Franklin County Sheriff Office and Jail and the landfill. Ms. Forbes was optimistic that USDA might be able to assist with funding. After our meeting, Ms. Forbes was scheduled to meet with East Point Water and Sewer District and was encouraged by Attorney Schuler and me to have the same discussion with the district staff. Was optimistic a good word, Attorney Schuler?
Yes, sir, very accurate.
Good. Wanted to make sure.
Was
Just
not
let
a
you-
guarantee.
Never a guarantee. Not like a 23 million. Okay. Item 18, as a reminder, I will be attending the Army Corps of Engineers public meeting on November 9th at the Estrine Research Reserve. I will submit the county's letter supporting the Florida Congressional October 6th letter regarding the draft environmental impact statement and master water control manual for the ACF River Basin.
And I'd like to comment on item number 18, if I might, Mr. Chairman. You know, the more public input that we can have at this meeting over the Estrine Reserve Center would be very helpful in trying to get the Corps of Engineers over to understand the importance of considering Apalachicola Bay as part of the authorized uses and part of the EI, the updated controlled water manual, to try to get us more water down here for this bay. As we all know, it's not an authorized use, but even as I understand it, even the U.S. Fish and Wildlife says that it ought to be, because it's very detrimental to the river flows and the nutrients and all that come down and feed our oyster population. And having said that, the oyster population is very critical to Franklin County and our estuary, as they are water filters, and they do a good job at that. And without the oysters here filtering some of the contaminants that do make its way down the river, I'm afraid that our whole ecosystem would collapse here in Apalachicola Bay. So we need to keep our oysters going as we work and try to restore Apalachicola Bay, just because of the water quality factor that the oysters and the benefit that the oysters provide to the overall ecosystem here in Franklin County and in North Florida here. And our ecosystem in our estuary here, a lot of the species in the Gulf of Mexico serve out the early part of their life cycle here in our estuary. And it not only affects the people in Franklin County, but it affects the economy of the whole state and the whole Gulf of Mexico as it pertains to different species and trying to keep those into harvestable numbers. So any of the public that would go, our oystermen, our politicians, everybody that has a concern about the environment, it would be very detrimental for all of us to be there and submit either a letter or say a few words on exactly what the river flows mean to Apalachicola Bay on behalf of the oyster industry and all the species that are raised and spend part of their life cycle in the estuary here in Franklin County.
And Alan explained to me that the format is going to be, it's not like a control meeting like this, it's more displays and different booths and stuff. So you got to kind of walk around and you have to talk to everybody and kind of sell what you're doing.
Right, and a lot of these comments should be written comments that
Yes.
can be included. And a lot of it is recorded, and those recordings are put into part of the process.
And in the past, the last time they had one, there was a room off to the side which I went into, and you could type in comments right then and there.
Yes.
They had a series of computers set up, so I just typed in some comments.
Yeah. Okay. I have one more item that did not, and I do apologize. On the 29th, the committee reviewed and opened and reviewed the bids to manage the CDBG grant that we had, and the committee recommended Remelis Planning Development Services to be the administrator of that grant, and I need board action to support
So
that.
moved.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, and that is the end of my report, Commissioner.
All right, Mr. Schuler,
I do not have a action item for the
Have
board
nothing?
report this morning.
any public comments? Any public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Debbie Belcher with Remelis Planning and Development Services. Thank you very much. Look forward to working with you, and I'll get a draft contract to Mark Curenton for his review, and then he can send it to Attorney Schuler. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Question.
Yes, sir.
About how long will we, before we see some results on it? I meant like the actual work be started?
The grant is signed by the county and was turned back to the state a couple of weeks ago. And I would think probably by the end of this month, the grant should be back to the county, signed by the state. That's just a guess. And then we'll have to go, my contract has to be approved by DEO, and then we'll have to start doing the environmental review before we can even do much of anything. However, I will coordinate very carefully with Lori Schweitzer to see if there are people on the existing SHIP waiting list that might be able to be served by this Housing CDBG. I'll also advertise that funds are available, and then we can start taking applications from homeowners.
Be sure and keep us up to date on that, because I've had people contacting me as they read about it in the paper and heard about it here on TV, and I need to refer those people to someone, but as I told them, we have not selected who's going to administer the grant. We don't have, so you're probably looking at after the first of the year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I do have people that may not be on the SHIP waiting list,
Right.
but they live in trailers, and which is one thing that we can do that SHIP can't do. So I need a place to refer them to, so just keep us up to date, send us an email, what have you,
Okay.
so that all the commissioners are advised of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you.
commissioner comments? Any commissioner comment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Commissioner, come.
Alan Pfeiffer, Concerned Citizens. I just really realized today how important Dewberry is to the process with Restore, and it brought me a question. There's a lot of drop-dead dates, critical path. Do we have errors and omissions insurance that protects the county should they miss any deadlines or cause the county financial harm by their actions or inactions?
Well, I can answer the first part. There are no really deadlines. The deadlines are our responsibility to get something into Treasury. Treasury's going to hold that money until we spend it. So there's not, we are in control of our own timeline as far as that goes.
Right, but in case they advise inappropriately or any, it's fairly typical to have errors and omissions insurance. Do we know if they in fact have that?
They're international, they're a national consulting corporation with 5, I imagine they do. I personally don't know, and I didn't ask that. Well, I'll tell you what, it may have been in the RFP. I can't remember if it was or not. We may have asked that.
It was not in the RFP. I did put it in the contract.
Mr. Stewart's smarter than I.
That's why he makes the big bucks. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I've got something. As you all know, this weekend is the Florida Seafood Festival, and I know this meeting will not be televised until next Monday. But I have to say congratulations to our King Ritzio.
That's Mr. Noah.
Mr. Noah Lockley. We've already had a king over here, Mr. Parrish. I'm just surrounded by kings. And I feel so privileged, but congratulations, it's well deserved, and I hope you have fun.
Thank you.
Meet adjourned.